When it comes to layered pigskin tips, this has got to be the best one I've ever tried. This is Break From Life. This is the tip I've been using for quite some time now, and I doubt anybody's ever heard of it or the company that makes them, Cuesoul. Even though their name suggests there'd be a cue sport company, they seem to be more of a player in the darts world. They also make pool tips though, and I bought one, cut it down and stuck it on rather badly to the end of my snooker cue. But their branding doesn't really scream professional high quality products. There's literally nothing on here that would lead you to believe that they make good tips for a snooker cue. With the sort of everything for fun, sports games, toys, the fact that they lead with darts and dartboards rather than any cue related products. And of course, most worryingly of all, the pool player at the bottom seems to be striking the 8 ball rather than what is clearly the cue ball. Thankfully I didn't see all of that when I first purchased these tips. They come in a pack of 6, and for pigskin tips they're a fairly good value. Now if you want to know how to buy them, I've put a link in the description to the only place I found them online. Now I'm going to be comparing it to some Elkmaster tips, and the chalk I'm going to be using is Taom V2 on both tips. If you want to see my first reaction to trying Taom Chalk, it's in the card at the top right now. Now this is my spin related tests. I position myself so I can't see past the white circle of the ball and see how close in terms of lines I can hit to the edge. For example, with the Elkmaster here, I'm up to line 4 and I'm going to try 4.5 in that gap, and I get a miscue. Now those of you that have seen my video Triangle Chalk versus Masters Chalk, it's in the card right now, you'll have noticed that the Taom V2 did a lot worse under the same conditions in the same test. Anyway, let's see what my Cuesoul tip can do. Now, that's line 2, we're already up to line 3. Now remember, I position myself so I can't see the edge of the ball. The ball may be in a different position each time, but I can't see past the edge of the white bit. So I'm always lined up the same to the ball, though I may be hitting it in different directions. Now we're up to 4.5 here, which is where the Elkmaster failed, and we still got a clean contact on it, and up even hit line 5, which I thought was pretty impressive. Now the next test I did with this was a standard overlay test. I've hit both balls at the same time to see the reaction. Now I thought the Cuesoul would be a lot better here, and I've made the Elkmaster ball disappear first. So you can see it's a little bit better. I'm getting a little bit better reaction. That's why it's staying closer to the camera, but it's not a bigger difference as I would have thought it would be, and as it feels like playing with this tip. So that I found a bit interesting, really. Now finally I thought I'd do just a simple feel comparison, starting with the Elkmaster tip. Now I haven't used one of these tips in quite a while, and I felt it was actually pretty good. I got some quite good reaction out of it, better than I was expecting. But the main reason I use a Cuesoul tip, and I'll explain this now, I've had the Cuesoul tip on my cue for about 2.5 years, the same tip. Now not only is that great value, it means I don't have to keep constantly changing cue tip every couple of months, and I probably would have to do that with most other types of tip, because they just don't last for the same ridiculously long length of time the Cuesoul tip lasts for. And I know a lot of people will think that it won't really have any grip and you can't really play properly with it, but it does actually have quite a lot of grip, especially when you hit close to the edge of the ball. It's probably slightly more reactive than the sort of Elkmaster that I'm playing with now. It probably doesn't quite have the sort of reactions of a Talisman or a Kamui tip possibly, but it is an awful lot more reliable and lasts for 3 years. Now you do have the problem with this tip that you're probably going to have to cut it down properly first. You can get these things that are like pencil sharpeners. They look exactly like big pencil sharpeners, and you can trim all the way around it. the tip's perfectly fine after you use it like this, and then it takes an awful lot of shaping. But again, you only have to probably do this tip will last you nearly 3 years, and that's probably about the length of time it lasts me. I'm probably going to put a new one on pretty soon because it's lasts forever. And for the amount of money it costs, it's a great value buy. Just for 6 tips, for the amount of money they cost, possibly they'll last you 18 years if you use them like I've used the first one. And you don't have the same problem with other pigskin tips like I've had, that they get to a certain stage and you think, well, I've still got loads of life left in them, and then they explode. I've had this happen with every other form of pigskin tip I've tried. And even though you got that great reaction out of them, you couldn't hit as close to the edge of the ball as you can with this one, so that sort of levels it out. I'd definitely go for the super soft version if you're going to buy it. It's very difficult to get hold of. I'll show you the link in the description, which was the only way I could actually get hold of them. Ideally, I'd buy them off eBay or Amazon if you can get them, because you're not going to be able to get them that quickly off their own website, which is based in America. Have a look at these 2 videos. They show which chalk would probably work best with this tip. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better snooker player by subscribing to the channel. See you later.